Hey everybody, what's going on? How's everyone doing? See, trying this again this week. So let's see how we going. Let's see who's all in here so far. See, Jen Artolino, Scott Moody, Sherry G Flying High. See, Mike Franklin. Hey, I'm here too. See, Sugar Kitty, The Roop. Okay, that's the one I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen before. Thank you. I'll try to keep up with the chat as much as possible. I'm, like I said, still trying to learn all this stuff. Can everybody hear me all right? So let's see who else we got here. Wesley Zeller, thanks for joining. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Scott? How you doing? Let's see. Let me lift this up so I can get a little bit better. There you go. That might be a little bit better for everybody. So let me shut that off behind me. Piece of garbage. All right. So let's see. Hey, Trevor. Trevor Kunkel. Thanks for coming over. I see. Kind of say met him or whatever we say it on the Drink Pros stream. The other that I've been following. Let's see. Who else? Anybody else need? Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So yeah. Hey, saw the official shirt today, Scott. I'll get around to trying to grab one of those. So basically, tonight is, I guess, an experiment again. I'm gonna, I did my shout outs video, and if anybody remembers who was shouted out, if you were one of those people, feel free to click the invite at the top. You can go ahead and talk about your channel. If you talk about your channel, talk about whatever you want. Anybody else that might want? Hey, John JG, Mike Meyer, John Trombetta, what's going on, guys? Barn Door, holy crap! I mean, people are actually watching me today. What's up with this? Wow, 14 people. I think I've already beat my record from last week. Hey, speaking of, I want to thank Ed from Rock Gut Review, Jason from the Mash and Drum, and let's see who else was on that. Bourbon and a Baby and Bourbon Buddies. The other night on Ed's Rock Gut Review stream, they made it their goal to get me 100 subs, even though it might say 89 when you clicked on this video or whatever. According to YouTube, it's 119. So I'm really grateful for them for doing that. And if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's see. And then, see what else is going on this week. The last night was, how you say it? I hadn't really seen, most of the two-man shit shows that I've seen have been on Mash and Drum with Klein when he was on there with Jason, and Scott when he was on there with Jason. But the one yesterday with Alec from Alec and Alec Bradley Cigars and Klein was definitely a classic. I'm surprised that somebody didn't have to go in there and wake him up to shut down the stream. But yeah, so anybody that wants to jump on, just and plus it's also it helps me out for a few trying to figure out what do you call it, making sure that the video can be heard by, I don't know why, for some reason I'm not getting anything back on my headphones. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's why. All right. So, yeah. So if anybody wants to jump on, we'll go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and right now, I want to go ahead and say thank you to two people. Um, I don't see him in the chat yet. So maybe I should wait till he comes on, but I can always say thank you again when if he does make it. So Whiskey Samurai, he's going to be starting up. He's going to be starting up his own channel also, and when that happens, I'll go. Of course, I'll promote it. He sent me some. He sent me some samples. Let's see, a J.W. Kelly single barrel. It says D&W pick, so I take it. So yeah, store pick. Come on. You're supposed to have awesome freaking. There you go. Let's see. Oh, and then a Jack Daniel's Sinatra. There we go. Eventually, I'll figure this out someday. And then he also sent me. He also sent me Tennessee Taster. There you go. Knob Creek 12 sample. Oh, second ham. And then Joseph Magnus Triple Cask Batch 109 sample. And I appreciate that, Whiskey Samurai. Just so you know, your stuff went out. Shayla, if you get to see this at a later time, your stuff is on its way to be hand delivered. And prescription bourbon, yours is also being hand delivered. So expect those soon. I'll get you all the information about your hand deliveries here soon. Okay, so then the other one was Shayla had these hand delivered to me. I won them on when her live from in Washington, but I was expecting two samples at the max, but I ended up getting a Glen Ross 12, an Aberfeldy, I don't know which one, and then a Glenfiddich 12. Now, I do have Glenfiddich 12 already, but hey, you never can have too much whiskey, right? And then this is something that's really cool. My friend Robert Hernandez, the Picture Pro over on Instagram, so a few months, in December, my friend Sleepless Kimmy and the Whiskey Neanderthal, they had a pick with a local, with a local liquor store. Well, not to me, but in Long Beach, California, called U.S. Liquor. And Robert had helped me to get a hold of a Hancock's, and it's a really weird, really cool story. He's friends with them, kind of became friends with me through them on Instagram and everything else. And what it is that the first time I met Kimmy and John, the Whiskey Neanderthal, I went to meet them to get some sample. I got some samples to get some things from. Exchange some bottles and stuff like that. And I went ahead and gave him a bottle of Weller Special Reserve because I had a few. And they decided, and I told him, I said, they said they didn't want it. They didn't even know me. Why was I giving them a bottle? I told them to pass it on to somebody who might not be able to get a hold of one. or might not be able to afford to get one, or just somebody that's new to the game. This is where you want to start them out at. Go ahead and give them the bottle. So I didn't know who the bottle went to or anything. I had no idea. I just knew that they would pass it on because that's how we do things. Try to spread the love. So then in December, like I said, we were at the store, and that day, earlier that day, had found out, or the day before, or something like that on Instagram, had found out that found out that Robert had found out that he was going to be a grandfather, and that he was going to be a grandfather rather soon. So I had an extra sweet wheat, 1792, that I had just luckily a couple weeks before had just got a kind of came across a deal where, buy any other bourbon, you get this for $49.99. So I bought a couple of cheap whiskeys, bourbons, whatever. Spent like $20-something on those, and then I got two bottles of sweet wheat, so I had a backup. But Robert didn't have a sweet wheat, and I knew that he didn't have a sweet wheat because we had mentioned it. We were looking for it, and so I went ahead and took my second bottle and took it with me to U.S. Liquor because I was supposed to meet up with him that day, for some others to get my Hancocks and my Hancocks that he had and everything else. So, long story long, I went ahead and went over there. U.S. Liquor hung out with Kimmy all day, and then Robert, because of other things in his life, he could only go over there for a few minutes. But after he went ahead and picked up his bottle, the pick, we were talking for a few minutes, and I told him, "Hey, I got some stuff in my car for you." And so we went over, and that's when I handed him the sweet wheat, and I told him, I said, "Look, congratulations on becoming a grandparent. I am a grandparent. I know how much I miss my grandson, Paul, and my son Ashton. They're in North Dakota, but I miss them. Miss the hell out of them every day." So I told him, I said, "Here, this is for you. Congratulations." So he told me that when his granddaughter was born, that he was going to crack the sweet wheat, and this morning, his granddaughter was born. And so therefore, as in honor of his granddaughter and in honor of Robert popping his sweet wheat, his bottle of sweet wheat for the birth, I'm popping my bottle of sweet wheat to celebrate. So whatever pour you got, congratulations, Robert, on becoming a granddad. That's not bad. But then again, it's the neck. So I'll let maybe it'll. It's not. I suppose way. From just that first taste, I mean, it smells good. Basically, like every weeder in the world, freaking. But it's pretty good. I mean, for $50, it's worth it. For what people are asking for it on secondary, for like over $100 now. I think the max that I think maybe right now from just the first taste, the max I'd pay for it is $50, $60. I'll say $60 max, because it is something to complete a set. I mean, I'm still far away from the set. We'll say I need original Ridgemont Reserve, which is basically small batch, but I want at a minimum, I want to find a bottle that says Ridgemont Reserve on it, just to have the whole collection of bottles. And then I did just recently get a hold of 12-year. So my next one would be, port. Yeah, port. I think port is the last one I might need to get. I have to check again. But yeah, as a matter of fact, bottled and bond is good. Bottled and bond is actually really good. So, hey, what's going on, Trev? So yeah, hey, everybody, say hi to Clifton Bourbon Bites. Freaking, he's been killing it. He's been like seriously killing it on his channel lately. He's always killed it, but the interviews he's been doing is just off the hook. I mean, he's just got so many freaking. He's just talking to so many people in the industry right now. Go check him out. If you're not subscribed to him or if you haven't watched him, you got to go check the man out. I know that. Clifton, I know that you're not going to be able to stay for too long because you're doing you're doing your gaming live stream tonight, or you're doing a live stream tonight. And if it's the Patreon one, I'm sorry, I'm probably going to miss it. Maybe next time. But I am glad to see Clifton. He's here in Southern California also. I just started watching Eric Waite, who's freaking. He's hilarious. He's really fun to watch. Hey, Cheech, what's going on? Lone Wanderer 360. Good to see you. Okay, so this is the one that's got me now. Is that now Sugar Kitty? I don't know if it's Sugar Kitty doing it or if it's Barn Door. Let's say like Barn. Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna do this again like last night, with Barn Door and Sugar Kitty. All right, I guess it's my turn now. I guess I'm the one that gets to watch the spam. A whole 20 people, according to this, is watching me. So, okay, so let's see. But yeah, congratulations to Robert. If you don't check him out, over on Instagram at the Picture Pro. I'm probably going to try to convince him at some point in time to come on live. Come on live with me on Instagram or on here. More than likely on Instagram. So here's what's going. Here's the next thing that's been going on. So I've been I figured out why Dan Shook's always freaking seems like he's online or he's doing something that has to do with the channel or whatever like that. This is my third freaking video. 2 of them were live. And you'd be surprised how much time I've spent in the last 2 or 3 days to get ready for this live, doing thumbnails, trying to figure out exactly what was going on and stuff like that. Trying to figure out how to pin the StreamYard link, all that stuff like that. So, and then I just posted for the first time over on Facebook that I'm over here live on YouTube, which, we'll see if anybody I know decides to jump over and watch it, or heck, there can be people lurking. I don't know. But I do appreciate everybody that is here. And let's see what else we got. So the chat that I'm working off of is the one off of StreamYard, because for some reason when I try to work off of both of them, if I'm working off of one computer and 2 screens, for some reason it messes with being able to hear other people when they come on live and stuff like that. So yeah, so tonight Hot Buttery Rolls, just so everybody knows, Chris has moved his show up an hour, so it'll be at 9 Eastern instead of 10 Eastern, because he feels that other than Cheech Ardolino, Sugar Kitty too, but Sherry, but a lot of people on the East Coast, he's basically, it's not really fair to them to have them come in and then everybody be up until two or so in the morning watching the stream. So he decided to go ahead and move it up an hour. So that for me is, so it's not 9, so it's 6 here. I'm sorry, 9 Central. My mistake. 10 Eastern, 9 Central. So it's 7 here. So I decided to see, hey, could I go 2 hours and people actually still watch me? So is there anything that anybody wants to ask me or talk about, or is there something, anything that you want my take on or anything like that? There you go, 7 p.m. PST. There you go. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for thanks for reminding me that I'm an idiot. Appreciate it. Yeah. Truthfully, hey, you know what? If you want to see, it is literally, this man streams continuously all the time. He might have just enough time to go to sleep for a few hours, and he's up streaming again, building these giant freaking amazing freaking Lego sets. Scotch Down Under, Ken, Eastern Australia. His freaking channel is his regular channel content is great. Reviews of Scotch and so that was, but it was the other 2 guys. But his lives by himself are freaking one person. Literally, today I just clicked it and there was one person watching, but he's sitting there talking to that one person, building his freaking Lego set, and it was freaking awesome. And I watched it for a little while, and then I went ahead and went about my business because I had to get a bunch of stuff taken care of. So let's see what everybody's talking. Well, yeah, what's everybody drinking? So Clifton, if you didn't see, I'm drinking Sweet Wheat 1792. One of my friends from Instagram, he is popping. I gave him a Sweet Wheat when he found out he was going to be a grandfather. So his granddaughter was born today, so he's going to pop that bottle. So I went ahead and popped my bottle so I could sell it, tell him congratulations. But I will be moving over to my tried and true after this. So for those who don't know what my tried and true is I literally just started drinking this a little bit over a week ago because I finally found one. Come on. There we go. I'm gonna have to take that stupid freaking. I don't want to take down the Shigget sign. Damn it. the Sugget shit sign, Team Sean sign. I don't want to take it down, but I might have to. So this is my new baby right here. Wild Turkey 101 Rye. I finally got a hold of a liter bottle of it a week ago, and yeah. I mean, I haven't completely killed it, but hey, it will be dead eventually. So yeah, you know what, Clifton? I'll go ahead and you know what? Have you tried the other? Yeah, it's really hard to find here in Southern California. You know what? Truthfully, you know where I see. So this one I found at. I want to say. Oh, I had to go to I think I got this one at El Cerrito. Because it's the only place I'd found it before. It was there. Yeah, this is I'm really sure I got this one at El Cerrito. So yeah, you might want to check that out. But yeah, the 101 is really hard to find here in California. I could find regular Wild Turkey Rye everywhere. I could find regular 101 and everything else everywhere. But yeah, and then Cheech is really going with the old granddad bottled in bond. You know what? I have a bottle I haven't opened it yet, and I also have a 114 that I haven't opened also. But so I want to. So shelf turds. What can I say about shelf turds? So I've had this idea for a while, and I know I mentioned it on Instagram, and everything else was we got March Madness, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, for basketball. They take 64 teams and blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows how it goes. So my idea was to have Battle of the Bonds. So you have like these Battle of the Bands things where, Cheech and anybody's ever been around any kind of music at all knows what Battle of the Bands are. So I was going to do Battle of the Bonds. I was going to try to go through, figure out my bottle and bond, what I have, which I know that I have at least 16 of them. Then reach out to anybody that might have some bottle and bonds I hadn't heard of before or anything else, and then put them in, and then to get some samples. And then do a bracket. I would like to, the God's honest truth is I would love to get 64 bottle and bonds and break it down from there, but it would take a whole month of videos to do that. But I would like to get to at least, I'd like to get to 20. I'd like to get to 24 and then figure out the bracket, or especially 32 would be great. Put them in the brackets, break them down, and then have the actual, like, when it's all said and done, this is the Battle of the Bonds champion. Now, recently, Prescription Bourbon had just done, I can't remember the exact amount of different bottled and bonds, but he did a kind of a 4 against 4 against 4, and then had them go against, the winners go against each other, and then picked one. I just wanted to expand it and then, go from there, just something to work on. So right now, my project that I'm working on, and I mentioned this to Chris, to Hot Buttery Rolls, was that how do you say this? I'm working on something where, okay, so is it here? Yeah, it is here. So there's one, and I know Cheech and some people that are really into music are going to understand this. There's one whiskey, quote unquote, bourbon, whatever you want to call it. Okay. There's one specific freaking whiskey that is directly freaking thought of when you think of rock music, from literally, well, music in general, but rock and roll music from the mid 50s all the way up till today. Give me a second. I'll be back in a second. I got to shut that air conditioner off. That's loud. Okay, so I'm back. So here we go. Anybody? Okay, I know that somebody's got an idea because they've already said something else, but you know what? For the first person that can tell me what that whiskey is, I will throw together a sample pack of some of my hitters. Maybe even throw it like I'll throw in a 4 sample pack, and I'll have it sent off to them. If they can tell me what whiskey is most directly related to rock music, and then I'll show you. I'll show you. So the first person to come up with the answer. Okay, the Roop. Okay, the Roop. You are correct. Oh no, I'm sorry. Holy crap. My mistake. You know what? Because of that, the Roop, send me your address. I'll send you a sample pack anyway. I made a mistake. Whiskey Samurai, who I just had some stuff hand delivered to today. Um, I'll get you the information tonight. I'll explain what's going on to you later. But see, the Roop, if you could go ahead and go on to, it's Jack Daniels, by the way, and Whiskey Samurai was the first one to do so, to actually say what it was. So Whiskey Samurai and the Roop, I will send out 4 sample packs to you. And what we'll do is, so Whiskey Samurai, I already have your address. Jay, the Roop, why don't you go ahead and if you go over, what? No, thank you. No, Whiskey Samurai beat me fair and square. Okay. I'm willing to go ahead and send it to you anyway, but there'll be more chances at that and everything and stuff like that too. But you know what, Root? I'll remember that. Believe me, it'll be paid forward to you at some point in time. I will get you. So speaking of, I think what I'm gonna do is somebody finally went ahead and hit that link. This is the Whiskey Samurai. All right. Thank you.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, how you doing there? Now, this is the first time I've ever seen you, and it's really scary because it's really scary how much you actually look like my son.
Oh, not too bad.
Oh, well, that was a bad delay. Okay, so yeah, so there's a really bad delay. Okay, so yeah, I appreciate. Okay, so can you hear me right now? Yeah, that's a really bad delay. Let's see if I can figure this out.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
it's really delayed though.
Yeah, it's just really delayed. Okay, so let me try this. All right. See if the delay goes away. Yeah, so I did send out your stuff. Finally, actually made it out today. I'll explain. I'll DM you with the reasons why. But yeah, it'll be hand delivered by Friday. And the same with everybody else's. So you're in Chattanooga.
Yep.
Okay, so is the delay gone now? Because he answered the question like perfectly. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be doing when it comes to your channel that you're going to start.
Well, I kind of am a little upset that you beat me to the punch on the music thing. I'd been planning on doing that for a little while. I do play bass, but don't quite have the knowledge and haven't been to nearly as many shows as you have. But I do have a little bit of insight in some music, but mainly just music and whiskey. Just kind of like a home bar type deal. Like you can come and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, and then we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, so that's like I said, that's basically what I do. Anybody that wants, I'm never going to tell anybody they can't come on. The link, it's this way. Unless I have a specific guest that's supposed to be on for that hour or whatever, I will post a link, and if the link is up, no one will ever be told they can't come on and talk about whatever they want, as long as it's not politics and it's not rude to any specific person. But yeah, that's basically what I'm all about is metal. Well, I love all music, but metal music and whiskey now. So it makes it, it's pretty cool.
I'll say I drink a little bit of everything. I have some tequila, have some scotch, but I started on Jack Daniels, and it never really left, as you can tell.
Yeah. Speaking of, okay, so now you weren't on earlier, but I did bring up the fact that you sent that I was hand delivered some samples, and
Yeah, you really should enjoy those.
yeah. So okay, so here's the thing. I am not a fan of this. I'm a Jim Beam person. I have every kind of beam other than like the really super specialty stuff. But and now that I've been doing this for drinking these bourbons and everything else for a year, I've got a lot of other things I like too. But the Sinatra, I'm looking forward to actually trying that. The J.W. Kelly, I've been wondering about that because I see him all over the place out here, but it's one of those things where nobody's ever said anything about it. So therefore,
Yeah, that one's not like the ones you can get on the shelf. That one's a store pick that we got. One of the local bourbon societies did a store pick with one of the stores down here, and it's some really good stuff for it to be as young as it is.
And then the Knob Creek 12. Well, I do. Okay, so the Knob Creek 12, I don't know. There's nothing else that says Knob Creek 12, so I don't know if it was a store pick or anything like that. But yeah, I've got like 9s, 12s. The only thing I don't have is a 15. I have tasted a 15, but but like I said you can never have too much whiskey, and it saves me from having to open the 12. I finished a 12 a while ago, so now this keeps me from having to open the other 12 at least for another couple drinks.
Yeah, that 12's some good stuff.
And then, okay, so the Joseph Magnus triple cask. When it said J Mag, I'm like, what the hell is J Mag? I've heard J Mattingly. I'm like, what the hell is J Mag? What the hell is J Mag? And then I look on my shelf and I'm like, oh, wait a second. I'm looking at a Murray Hill and I go, oh, wait, that's Joseph Magnus triple cask, batch 109. Is that okay? Is that is the batch number is like a special Magnus or?
Not that I know of. It's just the first one that I was able to find.
Okay.
It doesn't come to Chattanooga very often, so I was able to snatch one up for a decent price.
And then this is the one that I'm kind of thinking I might want to take a few minutes with because it's Jack Daniel's Tennessee Taster at 127 proof. Is this the Hickory one or which?
No, that's just the straight barrel proof rye. It should be what led into the single barrel rye that everybody's going crazy about that I can't get. So I've just been kind of enjoying that instead.
Wait, don't you think it's kind of weird that you live in Chattanooga, you live in Tennessee, and you can't get the biggest Tennessee whiskey that comes out of that state?
Yep. It's the craziest thing. I think they shipped it all to Arizona.
Well, yeah. And to Costco in Arizona, like all the pappy. So yeah, so so you work in the industry, from what I understand from what you told me.
Unfortunately, that is going to come to an end, like we were talking about. I have been able to get a little bit more information, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to find another source of employment, but that's okay. That's kind of how it goes.
So you're in Chattanooga, which is a rather large city. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple of liquor stores somewhere that might be looking for somebody.
I've been talking to a few people. Hopefully some of it works out. A lot of people are still a little iffy about the whole going back to college thing. They're trying to keep the jobs that they have, so we'll see how it goes.
I mean, have you ever thought of maybe even just taking a shot and going over to Chattanooga whiskey and freaking trying to just get on there to do anything? Like just to be
have
part
done
of
the tour like 3 times, and they're really nice guys down there. I have been thinking about it here recently, more so than now that I figured out what's going to happen. But yeah, I would like to do that. I'd like to go work for Jack Daniels, but I don't know about that.
Well, if they know anything, if they know anything about you, like I've learned over the past month or so, is that as long as you could, as long as they give you just enough money to pay your rent and then pay you the rest in freaking Jack Daniels, you'd be just fine with that. So, but no, like I said, I'm sorry that it took so long to get everything together, but that so the it's an Eagle Rare store pick and a Buffalo Trace store pick that we talked about. They'll be hand delivered to you by Friday. So,
Sweet.
and I'm glad I could help you out to get a hold of something like that, because like you said, you can't get those store picks don't exist where you're at. I mean, really, it's hard to get by, or else it's really super crazy expensive.
I actually went into a store the other day looking for another Joseph Magnus, and the guy behind the counter was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do a store pick of the barrel proof larceny," and I'm like, "Okay, let me know when that's coming out."
Yeah, you're talking about the A121.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. So we'll see. We'll see if it actually comes true or if it's just the regular larceny. But
Well, the thing is that so A121 3 weeks ago showed up in Michigan, and only a very few people got a hold of it in specific part of Michigan. Another person on Instagram the other day posted they just got a hold of. I think it was. I want to say it's the Whiskey Dick. And it's not Whiskey Dictionary. It's the underscore whiskey underscore D Dick. Freaking that he had just. I'm pretty sure it was him. Had just got a hold of a bottle of A121. I believe he's in Florida, and his comments were basically meh, because it's 114 proof. It's really freaking low.
that is really low.
That's really low for those barrel proofs. I mean, anybody that's on here that doesn't know, I'm pretty sure there's not anybody on here that doesn't know, but anybody here that doesn't know, Larceny and freaking Elijah Craig barrel proofs, they kind of they line up when it comes to levels of proofs across the year. Usually the B of both is usually tends to be what everybody seems to like every year for some reason. Every once in a while you throw in like a C19, a C918, or something else will jump out there. But the A's are usually they're lower proof, but they're usually still close to 120, right there at the 120 mark, and then up. This is like the first one I've seen. I went and looked back through the Larceny barrel proofs, and I think this is the first one below 118 in like forever. And there's only one. The 118 is the only one that was the first one below like 121. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of weird to be down at 114, especially since, not to be mean or anything, I can go get an old granddad 114 for, and it's good. And I can get that for a hell of a lot cheaper than a freaking Larceny barrel proof.
Yeah, and that's the thing that gets me with Tennessee. Even me with being in the industry, like at the store that I work at, we have our prices set to where we make a certain amount of money. But you go to a store across town and you look at, like you were talking about, that old granddad 114, $25 bottle, and they're trying to sell it to you for $100 for no reason. Yeah. It's not that special. I mean, it's old granddad. Like, it's not a Sinatra Jack. It's not something that's got more of a name behind it like that. Like, I know old granddad's been around for a long time and they have a huge following, but it's not one of those that people are going to beat the door down like Weller 107 or something like that.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is that it amazes me that people in Kentucky have a hard time getting a hold of Weller. People in Louisville and in Bardstown have a hard time getting hold of Weller and all the all that stuff. But in Ohio, you can walk into any store and buy a case of 107.
But it's like, I'm not going to call out any stores, but I go to Gatlinburg quite often and do like vacations, go up there to the Dollywood and do that kind of stuff. They have a liquor store up there that has had these same antique bottles for at least 8 years. And I mean, they're sitting on the shelf, but you've got the old fits, the lowest one in the decanter series, like $800.
Right.
Why?
There's the same thing here. Is that this hole in the wall, liquor store up in the high desert? I go up to visit my cousins, and I just happened to stop in there one day, and I find a bottle of Jura for it's a whole gift set with 2 glasses and all this other stuff for like $24. Jura Superstition. I just bought a bottle of Jura Superstition a few weeks before that for like 50, and that's the normal retail. For some reason, this guy had this Jura up there for like 20 something dollars. I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting it no matter what. And then there's this old fit sitting back against the wall behind everything else. But when he moved the Jura bottle, this old Fitz is sitting back there. And it's a red label 14 or something like that. And I'm like sitting there going, how much do you want for it? $500. And I'm like, number one, you could barely see through he had it it was like in a plastic bag. So you could barely see through the plastic bag to see that it was an old Fitz. He'd been working there for 5 years, and he said that it was there when he got there. But the owner wants $500 for it. So I'm like, that's all right. Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, that's a $500 ornament.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. What is the bottle of Jameson behind you?
The one up here is a special edition that they did for St. Patrick's Day a couple of years ago. It's just the standard Jameson. It just has a crazy label on it. Let's see if I can get it to focus on it.
Okay, yeah, I know. I've seen it. I've seen it. It's just regular. It's just regular Jameson with a really cool label, right?
Yeah,
basically. Yeah, it's they have one I was gonna get that actually I'm still thinking about picking up because I keep on seeing it around. They have like the California edition where it's comes in a metal tin that has like the San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge and different things throughout different
that's neat.
thing. And then the bottle itself, the label has like a California, like an outline of California on it, and some of that. And it's only like $20, just like any other, just like regular ass freaking, 750 mil Jameson is around here. But yeah.
Now I did get something kind of interesting from my store owner this morning. So he gave me these little bottles that they got from Elijah Craig when they did a store pick, and they're like the samples from the barrels.
Okay.
Tells you which barrel it is, where it was in the rick house, what proof it is, when they released it. This is some of the strongest Elijah Craig I've ever had.
Well, what's it at? Like
this particular one's 118, and then I have one here that's 133. So they've got some heat behind them.
Yeah. So so the store that you're working at presently, that you're going to be out, you said already that you're going to be leaving or whatever. Is it one of the box? Is it a regular chain box store, or is it freaking just a small?
No, it's a little family owned shop. They've been around for like 30 years, and one of the owners just recently passed away, so they're trying to just get out of it. And I can understand that. They've been doing it for 30 years, and they've made their time. They've made their friends,
Yeah,
it's kind of sad though, because it's one of the most popular stores in town because of it being family owned.
Yeah, we have where I'm at here in California. It's kind of like it's starting to grow. It's the whole thing here in Southern California is everything gets taken over by something. And when I moved here 15 years ago, there was like barely the main street barely had anything on it. I mean, now we got like freaking Starbucks and Subway and everything else, freaking everything that everywhere else has. But it's still kind of a small community, and we have like literally like two liquor stores in one, and one of them's not actually even in the city. There's one in the city I live in, and then one just across the county line, which is literally freaking a half mile away or a mile and a half away, and the liquor store on the other side of that. Other than that, you got to drive to a lot of other places to go to a liquor store and everything else. But they don't, how do you say it? The one here locally, they don't bring in anything that's gonna be something super sought after. I've hardly have ever seen a bottle there that's gonna be over $80. And then the one farther down the street, he's got a couple bottles, but he seems to think that some of the stuff he's got's worth way more than what it is. And I'm like, well, wait a second, you do realize that I can go to Stater Brothers and get that same bottle for like half the price you're trying to sell it for. But
yeah, that's a lot of the problem around here.
he doesn't want to listen that I can go to a grocery store and get that exact same bottle for half the price. And if I buy freaking two of them, I can get it for even less than what freaking half the price of what he's,
That's what I noticed with this last batch of the Elijah Craig, that C920.
Yeah.
At my store, we have it, normal, like $65. Not too bad for Tennessee. You go to literally a mile down the street, the next store has it for $99.
Right.
And it's like, I know how much they paid for it. They paid the same amount that my store did for it.
It's the same. I mean, so it's like out here, okay, we've got Bevmo, but Total Wine's pretty much the one that people know across the states because they have stuff back east, and they got them all over the place. And it's funny that I can go into a Total Wine and buy, if they just happen to have one. I could go and buy a barrel proof there for $69, and then I could literally walk into the same parking lot over to a freaking liquor store that's in the same parking lot, and they're selling that exact same bottle for $130, $140 freaking dollars. And people are going in there and buying it because it's easier for them to go in there and buy it and pay that much than to hope that it's over at Total Wine or that they're going to get, because needless to say, even those big stores like that, like Total Wine or Specs or anything like that, Benny's, they're still a good old boy it's still a good old boy thing where things make it to the back of the shelf so nobody can see it until you just happen to walk through and say, oh, hey, you missed something. Stuff like that. But
yeah, we had our Total Wine up here in Knoxville just did a random pick with a Weller Full Proof. They had like a whole shelf full of them. I think they said they sold out in like 10 minutes because it was less than $100. I've never even seen a bottle at my store. Like the most allocated thing I think we got last year was a Lot B.
Yeah, see, yeah, and that's not and hey, depending on who you ask, that's not even really Pappy. So
True.
But I know the thing is
still something I've never had. I held the bottle, I sold it, but I didn't get to try it.
The thing that's hilarious about it is the same people that say that Lot B is not Pappy are the first ones standing in line when somebody has Lot B because they can't get Pappy.
Yep.
Lot B is a hell of a lot cheaper than you're going to get a Lot B. Tends to get that, be able to get that a little bit easier than waiting for a Pappy 50, a Pappy 13 or 23 or anything else to show up and hope that you've got enough room on your credit card to grab it. But
when I first started watching Dan and Sean last year, that was one of the first questions I asked them was, what could I find that was close to one of the lower grade Pappies that I wouldn't have to sell a car to buy?
So, Trev Wilson? The Bourbon Wrench, he says, what's up, Whiskey Samurai?
What's up, Trev?
See. Yeah. So the root, this is like we're just talking about. So the root, my local independent had a single bottle of Weller Special Reserve and was asking 400. Root, if you need a bottle of Weller Special Reserve, I know this place called YouTube and a bunch of people that are on the thing we call WhiskeyTube. They can get it to you for a shitload cheaper. If truthfully, I would send you one for free right now if I had an extra, but the one I have is open and I don't have an extra one right now. But yeah,
if I hadn't opened this one that I have, I would give it to you. It's not my favorite, but I do like having it in the collection. I'd rather have another 107, but
that's
that
the thing
doesn't come
too.
here very often.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I would like other than what I have, but at least I have it. I mean, like, okay,
I will make
so yeah. So then, like, I have a bunch of, I did the thing that everybody else does. I started doing this last February, a year ago. I literally started getting into whiskey. I drank Jim Beam off and on when I was younger and everything else, but I hadn't drank in every once in a while I'll have a little bit. And then I just started getting into the WhiskeyTube thing, watching Whiskey Tribe, and then next thing I know, I'm watching Bourbon Junkies, then the Mash and Drum, then then it's a whole freaking going down that whole spiral of, you've got to watch Scott on My Bourbon Journey. He's not, he's not really that funny of a guy, but you got to watch him if you even. No, I'm just kidding. Scott's a great guy, but you go down that whole freaking rabbit hole of WhiskeyTube, and the next thing I know, I'm buying those bottles and paying those secondary prices because everybody else is talking about how awesome they are. The thing is that I'm used to drinking Jim Beam. I'm used to drinking shit that's freaking 104, 108 proof and below. I'm not used to 128, 133, stuff like that, but I'm going ahead and buying that stuff. And then I'm out there paying 200, I'm buying, I think one of my very first like 10 bottles, truthfully, was a freaking old Carter because somebody said it was the best thing you could get. And I went out and spent $200 freaking dollars, and I had never freaking tasted it, and I had no palate whatsoever. So all as far as I'm concerned, it tastes like freaking whiskey, or it tastes like bourbon or whatever,
Yeah.
But
I started about the same time you did. I've been drinking Jack for a while, but like I had bought all of these. Like I have the 150-year anniversary. I have the Sinatra, the 27 Gold. After that, I was like, okay, there's got to be something more out there. So I found Dan and Sean, and the first bottle I think they suggested me to buy was a OF 1920, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, so that's where I differ with everybody else in the world. Everybody's like 1920, 1920. I love Old Forester. I mean, believe me, I have like 9 of the 90 proof single barrels from different freaking store picks. I have the freaking row. I have all the row. I've mixed 1915s. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm in the middle of doing experiments to take 1910 and then do the 1910 and 1920, but creating a 1911, a 1912, a 1913, all the way through, just changing the percentages up because if you go by 10 numbers, 10%, and you go both directions, then you get the whole 19 through 10 through 1920. So I'm working on mixing those presently, and but 1910, I can drink I can literally sit there and I hate 1910 for the fact that it was my Wild Turkey 101 rye before my Wild Turkey 101 rye. I could plow through that bottle in easily in a weekend, just sipping on it.
I haven't tried the 1910. I've had the 1920, and I have a bottle of the Statesman, which it's not bad. You can tell that they kind of made it for a movie, but it's not bad though.
It's not bad, but then again, guess what, last time I checked, just like even a bad whiskey is still whiskey. Just like you can get even bad pizza is still pizza. But no, I can't go by that because I literally had an old rip 10 that somebody sent me a sample of that I tried a couple weeks ago. And I don't know if it was corked or it's just like a lot of people have told me, guess what? It's not that great. And because it was one of the worst things I ever tasted in my entire life. And it's one of those things where it's like, hey, yeah. So, and then now I got the big boys on the channel too. You can't see the chat, can you?
No.
Yeah. So Jason from the Mash and Drum, what's up? How you doing? Brian, this is my boy right here. If you're not following Kilco, you should stop following me. No, I'm just kidding. Keep following me, please.
Kilco's great. I watch his lives a lot.
You know what? The one thing, number one is that he has the best, literally, whether you like whiskey or not, as soon as you see him on the screen, as soon as he starts talking, you want to sit there and listen to what he's saying. He's one of the most personable people I've ever seen on YouTube. And he has the best facial hair of anybody on freaking WhiskeyTube, period. The whole freaking goatee with the freaking, like I call it, and I say it all the time, the V for Vendetta freaking look. He pulls it off. And my favorite, like I tell everybody almost every week, it seems like, my favorite video on YouTube, easily top 5 best videos I've ever seen, was him reading the E.H. Taylor small batch label in a Southern gentleman's accent. It was freaking hilarious. So, yeah, if you're not watching Brian, you should be. And you should be subscribing to him too. Speaking of subscribing to people, I don't know if you follow any of these people, but anybody that saw my video earlier in the week, I did shout outs to Mag57TX Whiskey Guy. Really good guy, really freaking awesome dude. He was another guy that sent me Jack Daniels. I made a comment about the rye, the new rye everybody's freaking crazy about. And
yeah, the one that doesn't exist in Tennessee.
Yeah, I made a comment about it. So he decided to reach out to me and say, hey, you want a sample? And then he sent me a bunch of other samples too of some really good stuff. So a really good guy, has a really cool channel. He's only got a few videos up, just like me or whatever. But let's go ahead and you should go over and take a look at him. He's also, all these people are also basically the same handles except for the @ in front of it for Instagram. Drink Pro, he was on here. He's kind of lurking, but he has he's doing a Zoom with a rep tonight, so he's kind of like in the background right now. But Kyle at the Drink Pro, he's got a great one. Bubble Bath Bourbon. I don't know if you've ever watched Bubble Bath Bourbon there, but Bubble Bath is also Nate is freaking great. Prescription bourbon, also known as DMC Kentucky or DMC-KY, but I say Kentucky because you say KY and people go crazy. Shelf Turds, obviously. I Whiskey She Wines coming back after the big layoff, and the last videos have been freaking great. Kind of jealous because they got that new freaking Compass box before I did to try. I think you muted. Are you muted right now? Or
no, I'm not muted.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't be.
Okay. And then Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I got to give him a big shout out for helping me also to get some followers and for basically encouraging me after I decided to put up a video and keeping up with me. Scott done the same thing. Cheech has been great. Cheech has been great to me all and everything else. Let's see. Cheech Ardolino, if nobody knows who that is. Well, I guess the Drink Pro's not that. I guess Jason, once people start seeing Jason in the freaking chat now, they decide to come out of the woodwork and everything else. But hey, that's all right. But yeah, and then go over to modernthirst.com, follow those guys. They just they have a YouTube channel. They're under 1,000. They're under 1,000 subscribers, but My main guy over there is Timothy Van Riper, also known as the Single Barrel Snob over on Instagram. But check those out. And then the other thing is that my boy here, Whiskey Samurai, he's got, go check out his Instagram. He's starting to take some bottle pics, do some pictures and stuff like that. And I would hope that he'd be like myself in the fact that if there's any constructive criticism, not being an asshole, people, about his pics, about his freaking pictures and stuff like that, something that you might know, like say a Barrel 21 who has the freaking most killer freaking pictures and stuff like that. And the videos that he puts up is freaking amazing over on Instagram. And some of the other guys that I see their pics, even freaking Jason from Mash and Drum, and anybody that has any kind of advice for me or for a Whiskey Samurai or somebody else is trying to get in the game, go ahead and just throw it out there. I'm not, I'm sure he would appreciate.
Oh yeah, definitely. Any advice would be great. I'm still new at. I haven't even got my first video up. You're doing better than me with this whole YouTube thing.
Well, that's the thing too, is that luckily for me, I can talk. I was more nervous about the fact that, how you say it, that people wouldn't like talking to me or listen to the bullshit that comes out of my mouth half the time. But I guess through the fact that this whole last year I've spent time on everybody's freaking chats, and I've spent time doing the whole Instagram thing with like VA Bourbon Dogs and Bourbon Jeeper and those guys like that I've kind of been accepted to a point where they'll at least give me a shot. So we'll see how long this lasts and how long before I go down in a ball of flames and I get canceled by the freaking community. But I think as long as I keep my war with Dan Ship going on over on Bourbon Junkies, I think I'll be all right. I think I'll be here for a little while. But let's see.
You can just ride that beef for a couple of years now, especially with how Dan's head just keeps growing every episode. Oh.
See, and I'm not the only one that sees it. No, Dan's a really good guy and everything else, and I know that he knows. I mean, I haven't talked to him directly, but I know that he knows that freaking I'm Team Sean because he's a dick. He's a dick to him. He freaking, but also the fact that he could take a joke. I mean, people that can take a joke. I give Scott from My Bourbon Journey and Jason a bunch of crap all the time, and they take it in stride. And none of them's ever told me to fuck off or kick me off their channel or anything. So, that's good. I've been timed out. I've been timed out a few times over the last couple of days. Daniel Kerber, if you're in here, believe me, I'll remember that I know it was you had to do somebody. So since DC couldn't be freaking banned for 5 minutes, you went ahead and picked me at random. But
that is the one thing that surprised me about this whole WhiskeyTube community is everybody is so accepting of everybody else. If you go to any of these other communities, like the car communities and some of the other ones, it's, oh, well, you own this type of car? Well, I'm sorry, you just can't be in this. And it's like, well, I appreciate all builds. Like, I'm a car guy myself. I do a lot of things with whiskey, but I grew up in a mechanic shop as a kid, so
right.
There's a little special place for it, but I'm also not, oh, well, you drive a Ford, I'm not going to talk to you. That doesn't make a difference.
So before I joined this community, I was really deep into the metal music club, the club community, and the bands and the local bands, and then also all the shows. I mean, like literally a few years ago, not last. Well, I'd say I want to say 2017. I had to look it up. I got most of it written down. I went to like 135 something concerts in that year, and like 4 or 5 festivals. And I was through just people recognizing me from different places and stuff like that. I started making friends through that community, and in general, it's a lot like this community in the fact that there's usually open arms in case you're Now, if you're like, some of the people that are like hardcore on the straight edge thing, or some of the people that are really super hardcore into, I only listen to death metal. Screw you and your freaking Cobra and the Lotus, or screw you and your Unleash the Archers and Camelot and there's all this other stuff that I listen to. Screw you. And I'm like sitting there going, do you even know anything about the bands you're listening to? Well, I know that I like them. Well, guess what? I know more history about those bands than you do, and I'm not even really that big of a fan of them. And that's my thing too. Is I mean, that's the other thing that was cool was that people were in that community were really open to asking me questions about, like, one of my favorite bands, Avatar. They used to be a death metal band, then they kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent, but they're freaking awesome in concert. But I was standing in line, and this kid, we'll say 20, probably early 20s, he's like, "Oh yeah, I love freaking, they're my favorite band." I was like, "Oh, what's your favorite album?" And he literally names the album that they're actually on the tour for. And I go, "Okay, that's great. Well, what do you think of this album?" "Well, I've never listened to it." "Oh, okay." And then I start telling him, "Hey, well, you should, here," and I'll literally, like, "Here, give me your number," and I'll send him a set list from that concert that night so that he can go to the other albums to listen to it. Every concert that I went to, before I went there, I would find out what the set lists are for that for those shows, because they normally stay to a standard set list through certain parts of the tour, and I would make up those a set list, and I would listen to them before I went in there, so I knew where all the cues for every song of what was coming up, so that when somebody that didn't know much about the band or anything else, if there was a specific song I thought that they would like, I would say, "Hey, listen to this. They're getting ready to play this right now." "Well, how do you know this?" "I just do some research." And I've met a bunch of people. Trev called me out last night about it, so I made a big the Bourbon Ranch. She called me out last night about it, so I made a big deal about it and started naming off all these people that I've met because I've gone to these concerts and because I've met people in the industry that got me into NAMM. And and I've met heroes of mine. And I don't know anybody here that might know this, but anybody that's a guitar player might know who Jared Dines is, or Fluff. They're YouTubers, but they're also, Fluff is in the band Dragged Under, which is this. They're between hardcore punk and metal. They kind of like bridge that gap, and they're up and coming, like huge up and coming. They opened their first tour ever was opening up for the Used last year, and so they're up and coming. Even though Fluff's a little old, like a little not as old as me, but older like me. But like, I know some of these people from freaking YouTube. A lot of people from YouTube on the music side, metal side of things, and do that. So I've interviewed. I've got like 10 or 15 interviews that I taped last year at NAMM that never came out, that I'm thinking about releasing on this channel, because it's like Dino Casares from Fear Factory, Doug Aldrich, Ola England, who has a channel on YouTube but is the guitarist for The Haunted, Rusty Cool, a bunch of people, Nita Strauss from Alice Cooper Band. I met Carmine Appice, or Appice, however you want to say it, a couple years ago. It's just one of those things where I just happen to be in the right place at the right time, and then so that's how I got into start talking to people more and everything else. And now the WhiskeyTube thing is like, well, nobody's really talking about music except for Trev Wilson when somebody says something about freaking Meshuggah or freaking one of his freaking his emo metal band, whatever you want to call it, emo metal bands, whatever. Unless it's brought up in somebody's chat and then everybody starts talking about it, But I know people like Cheech Ardolino. He's a professional drummer. He plays in a cover. I don't think it's a cover band. I'm not sure, but he's played, session drummer. He's done all that stuff. Jason Mash and Drum, same thing. A lot of freaking drummers. Well, guess what, drummers? People who love freaking guitars are coming, and I'm leading the way. but no, I love everything there is about guitar. Don't know how to play it, collect them. I used to collect them, but that became way too expensive, even more expensive than collecting bourbon. But I do have a few guitars, and that's another thing that people have tried to tell me was to go ahead and do the thing where I learn how to play guitar while I'm doing live streams drinking whiskey. But it's a thought. Just real quick, Roop, the Roop, if you're still in here. The knife that I opened up with. This is just a freaking Kershaw. I don't remember what model is this one. I'm trying to think what model this one. I used to have a bunch of knives, but I don't know what I can't see what I don't know what name it is. I just got this off of freaking Amazon. If you put in Kershaw, as soon as you see it's got the window breaker and the freaking seatbelt cutter and everything else. Once you see that orange, it's the only one that's orange that has the freaking seatbelt hook on it. It's like, I want to say less than $30, but I've had it for 6 months and I haven't had to sharpen it yet. It still cuts through it. It still just cuts through everything like butter. So I don't need to go spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $400 on a freaking knife. But I've also liked Kershaw's a lot for pretty much forever. Let's see. Yeah, Cheech Arlino and the Bourbon Drummers. Fear Factory, Jacob Rodriguez. Yeah. Yeah, nothing wrong with Kershaw. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is I love freaking. That's the other thing I do love about Kershaw, because I have snapped a blade doing stupid shit on an old Kershaw, and I just walked back into Big Five and said, "Hey," I said, "Do I need to send this back to Kershaw?" And they're like, "No, we'll take care of it." Took the new one out of the box, handed me it, put the broken one back in the box, and said, "We'll take care of it." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So, but. Sorry for talking so much.
No, you're fine. Like I said, I'm still new at this. I haven't even put my first video up yet. I've been worried about trying to get it edited right and get all my stuff done.
So check it out. If you look at the first video I did that wasn't alive, the one where I do the shout out video, there's no cuts, there's no editing. I just said, you know what? I'm going to do a regular ass video. I'm going to record. I recorded it on StreamYard in the background. I went ahead and did the recording, and then I did all the freaking work to get it onto YouTube. And then I just said, screw it, and put it up there. There's a lot of uhs and everything else. But I went ahead and put it out there. I got a lot of decent feedback. I got a lot of decent feedback out of it. And everything else. And I was like, screw it. Now I'm going on with what ideas I want to go that have to do with metal or whiskey. And like I said, the one I want to do is the Old Forester 10 to 20. I want to go ahead and do blend everything, then go ahead and maybe do a live where I send the same deal to someone else, and then we go through it. Just do 1 ounce samples, not 2 ounce samples. That way, freaking, because some people I'll they shall be nameless, but their first name is Brian, and they have a channel called Kilco. He'll get a 2 ounce sample, and I'll see him start pouring. He's like, he'll go, do I want to say something for later? And then he'll pour the whole 2 ounce thing and say, nah. And then freaking, at the end of the stream, he's like, wow, that got to me, Oh, you think that doing, 3, 4, doing a 2 hour live and doing 2 ounce pours at a time, that you might get a little bit freaking tipsy, but I love Brian. Brian's freaking great. The truth is, he's one of the people in the whiskey community I want to meet the most. People might say they want to meet Rex and freaking that from Whiskey Tribe, and so that, there's people I want to meet. Scott, I want to meet Jason. I want to meet the people that have supported me through just for me giving away bottles, or just me freaking my IG. So that I want to meet those people. But the one person that I want to meet the most is Brian, because freaking whenever, like I said, whether it's whether there's one person on there or 14 people on there, he doesn't care. He treats everybody exactly the same. He talks to people exactly the same. He's funny as hell. He can sing. He can sing. I mean, even though he keeps on saying he can't, the man can sing. And actually, that's one of the things I wanted to run by some people. I was thinking that we should put together something where we get Brian a JD Sinatra, and we send it to him, and he's required to do a live tasting, whether it be samples or whatever. But he has to do a live tasting and sing Sinatra songs while doing his live. So
I've got half a bottle of Sinatra left.
Well, hey, we can talk. I'll DM you. We'll figure out something. So Kilko, sorry, you don't have a choice. It's already been decided. If for some reason there's samples hand delivered to you and one of them happens to be Jack Daniel's Sinatra, you are required by bourbon law, whiskey law, by WhiskeyTube law that you will have to do a live while drinking the sample, singing Frank Sinatra songs. And New York, New York is not one that you can sing because everybody does.
I was going to say New York, New York's too easy.
Yeah. So, I can come up with some stuff. I mean, but that's the thing too, is that, so in my research for the Jack Daniel's thing, when I was talking about earlier, the reason that I have this bottle, here we go. The reason I have this bottle is not because I want to drink it. I will drink it because of the fact that of the person that I'm celebrating with this. So I ran this past Hot Burger Rolls already. He thought it was a great idea. I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks. Actually, Cheech and Jacob, Root, Kilko, everybody, Drink Pro, anybody that's still on here. From what I gather, there's 12 of you still watching me.
Well, I didn't totally tank your live then.
No, but everybody that's here, everybody that watches the recap, everybody that watches it later, in the comment section when this video is posted. So after this live, you can put it in the chat now. But after this video is over and it gets posted, you can put actual regular comments on YouTube. I want you to comment whether or not you believe this to be a good idea. Okay, Frank Sinatra made Jack Daniel's rock and roll. Okay. He was introduced to Jack Daniel's by Jackie Gleason at a bar. He said, "Hey, have you ever tried Jack Daniel's?" He said, "No." He tried it. He fell in love with it. And it was his favorite drink until the day he died. He was buried with a bottle of it. He would talk about it on stage about how it was the elixir of the gods. He was the biggest pusher of Jack Daniel's. And this is when Jack Daniel's had only sold a total of approximately 200,000 or just under 20,000 cases at the time, I believe it was, or 200,000 cases. So it's 200,000 cases at the time. Now, Jack Daniel's has sold over 2 million or 20 million cases or whatever it is now to this day. So he got in on it when it was like just basically starting to become a brand, a bigger brand. So all the way through rock and history and everything else, you see the pictures of Jimmy Page with the freaking Jack Daniel's bottle. You see pictures of Tom Petty and with the Jack Daniel's bottle, with all these rock stars Slash, everything else, the Jack Daniel's bottle. But to me, there's one person that is synonymous. To me, the only person that when I hear Jack Daniel's, I immediately think of.
It's got to be Lemmy.
His name is Lemmy Kilmister. That is correct, from Motorhead, which is also one of my favorite bands. So I'm gonna do a video, just like I just explained right now, going through the little bit of history or whatever, but then talk about how Lemmy changed Jack Daniels into a real rock and roll brand, and how people to this day that never even listened to a Sinatra song, as soon as they hear Jack Daniels, the first thing that they think of is Lemmy from Motorhead. As a matter of fact, this was the hat I was going to wear tonight, but unfortunately, when I put it on, it's a Hell Yeah hat, and some people don't like Hell Yeah. I don't care. I do.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I'm back now. So yeah, so this is my Hell Yeah hat that I got. And right in the middle of my Hell Yeah hat is my Motorhead pin. You know, it's got Metallica, it's got Hammerfall, Overkill, then Exodus, Suffocation, Creator, and then the other side it's got my Mom Rock, Godsmack, freaking Five Finger. Then, even though he's a political asshole, Iced Earth, and then Danzig, which is a really cool guy. I met him when I was younger at a Comic-Con when he used to do when he used to draw comics. But yeah, so I want to do something about Lemmy and Jack Daniels. And then my whole idea is to start reaching out to people that I know are in the whiskey industry that are with metal bands. Am I going to get Lars Ulrich to come on and talk to me about freaking Blackened? Hell no. Not in case I'm paying him, because that's the way he does things. But someone like if anybody's ever seen Killswitch Engage in freaking concert, Adam Dukovitz, the guitar player, he does this thing where he likes to jump off the stage. If there's a bar close to the stage, he likes to jump off the stage, go to the bar, order a whiskey shot, take a freaking shot, play the guitar from out there by the freaking bar for a few minutes, then go run back up on stage and finish the show. He lives here in Southern California in Vista. And so I'm through other people that I've met over the past few years, I'm trying to get in touch with him to maybe talk to him about the possibility of maybe talking to me about the whiskeys or what whatever alcohol, I don't care. He's freaking Adam Dukovich. He's freaking from Killswitch Engage. I'll freaking talk to him about freaking Kool-Aid. I don't care. But yeah, something like that. You know, there's a lot. You know, I'd love to talk to Sean Crahan of Slipknot about Number 9. She's freaking. There's so many freaking like. I mean, Dylan would be my like. That would be like an ultimate interview to be able to talk to Bob Dylan about freaking Heaven's Door, or, you know, I would actually like to talk to Neil Girardo, like freaking Jason from Mash and Drum did, because he's local to me. He's here, Pomona, California is where him and Pat Benatar lived for a very long time, and they used to do free shows out here during the summer. So I'd love to talk to him, but anybody that's related, music industry that's related directly to any kind of whiskeys or celebrity, musician alcohols, whatever like that. I just like to see. I like to pick their brains, see if they're really into this, or they're just doing it. It's just a money grab, or not even.
That's a good idea. I think that's a good idea for a line of videos.
Yes. So my big one is my ultimate goal, my ultimate freaking, if I got this interview, I could die happy, is truthfully is Scott Ian of Anthrax.
That would be cool. I would probably have to say Maynard, but
oh yeah, freaking Maynard would be great, but Maynard doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't do that.
I'd have to talk. He didn't, number one. Well, he will do it for the right people, but he doesn't. He talks about wine because that's what he's really into. He has a vineyard in Arizona.
Yeah, I wish it would make it to Tennessee. I'd like to try it.
Yeah, truthfully, I haven't even. I'm not a wine person, so I haven't tried to get anything out of that. But what I didn't know was that Motorhead, how many different whiskeys that they actually have that are like, these are whiskeys that came out before Lemmy passed away, and then a few that have come out since. Hill Rock just came out with a Motorhead Solera double cask. But the Scott Ian thing is that he was just on Fred Minnick not too long ago talking about bourbons and whiskeys and stuff like that. He had Anthrax is, anybody that's ever watched my thing, Anthrax is, let's see, there we go. Anthrax is my favorite band in the entire world. Luckily, I've been able to meet Scott Ian before at a VIP, and I'm only the only man, and I've met Neil Turbin from the original Anthrax, the original lead singer, and talked to him. But the one person that I really want to talk to is Dan Spitz, but he's no longer with the band. He builds freaking $100,000 watches by hand. Yeah, so Scott Ian would be the ultimate, because they've put out three different Hill Rock selections that Scott and Charlie Benante and stuff were the pickers. And one was called the Healer. It was named after Dimebag Darrell. Then the second one is Evil Twin 1, which I do have, which is double cask rye. And then I have the latest one is Evil Twin 2. But I haven't got a hold of it because it's $160 a bottle, and I just even though it's Anthrax, I already spent $160 on the first bottle. I don't want to go another $160 on the second one.
Yeah, I'd like to have that Dimebag tribute bottle, but that's a little expensive.
Yeah, and then you can't get that anymore. It was done a little bit over a year and a half ago, and it's pretty much limited to 200, right around 200 bottles for each of the selections. But it was called there's a whole story behind that I'll get into at some point in time in a video about Dimebag too, because I've got all these different things written down where I want to do the story of the Black Tooth Grin, where it came from, various things like that you don't hear a lot you don't hear coming out on WhiskeyTube. You don't hear about, like I said, nobody talks about Lemmy and Jack Daniels. People talk about Jack Daniels all over freaking YouTube. There's a Jack Daniels effect supposedly on freaking Instagram, where if you freaking put Jack Daniels in your hashtags or you add them or whatever, that your channel will blow up. Some people it has worked for. I know.
Well, I've been doing that with all my Jack picks, and it hasn't happened yet. I think I've only got 125 followers still. So,
but then, oh wow! Cheech is so Cheech was. He says he was in a Misfits Danzig tribute for a few years. So yeah, he's a Glenn Danzig fan. But see, well, Roop says that channel is a hoot. Now I'm trying to figure out what channel they're talking about. Obviously not mine. It's not a hoot. But see, there you go. Kilko do Sinatra in your best Peter Steele voice. Yeah, that's all. That's what we need. We need freaking type O negative sing Sinatra. I think we've already got enough of that. I think we've already got, if anybody's ever listened to type O negative, I think we've gotten the Sinatra freaking before. But no, like I said, I appreciate the fact that, you're the first person you're not the first person to jump on, because technically Hendo tried to jump on last week, and I couldn't get the freaking, he could hear me. Everybody could hear him, but I couldn't hear him. And basically, I figured out that what happened is that I was using a television as a second screen, and the HDMI cable was hooked up. And as long as I was on that second screen through the HDMI, it wouldn't allow me to hear somebody talking to me as a guest. So I had to. So right now I'm actually watching YouTube and making sure that I don't look like a total jackass.
Yeah, there's no hope for me on that one, but.
Oh yeah. Okay. So now I'm seeing what it is. This is okay. Now, if there's anybody here that doesn't know what this channel is, 2 Minutes to Late Night, you've got to go check these guys out. It's basically a guy that does a whole like Jimmy Fallon late night talk show host in corpse paint in a suit. And he brings on guests. They do metal covers. They do some really awesome metal covers where he brings in he'll bring in like singers and stuff from other bands that come in. They'll do and it's just it's fun to watch. If you're a metal fan, it's just a campy funny way to watch people playing metal and stuff. Also, I don't know who might be into more of a punk or a SoCal, what I call SoCal punk, but Psycho Stick. They do a lot of lives also that are fun to watch. And if you've never heard the song Beer by Psycho Stick, please go check it out. It'll change your life.
It really will.
It's what I call what do you call it? How was that worded when somebody asked me about it? I said, well, what is it? If you've ever heard Stormtroopers of Death, the SOD, which is a super group that nobody knows about, that from back in the early Anthrax days, they did albums where the songs were only like 2 minutes or less. If you're old enough to know what the original Headbangers Ball theme was, that is called the March of Sergeant D, which is the mascot of Stormtroopers of Death. And Scott Ian's the freaking guitarist. Neil Turbin was in it for a little. There's so many people that have been in and out of it, but they have this song called Milk, which is on the B-sides of Attack of the Killer Bees of Anthrax. And it's all about freaking a guy that wants some milk for his cereal. That is literally the equivalent to Psycho Stick's Beer. So if you guys ever get a chance to go look at that, and truthfully, anybody that hasn't listened to Anthrax, you're missing. I think they're missing out. They say they say Anthrax is one of the big four in thrash metal, and I agree, but I don't agree that the other three are part of the big four. I think that Metallica, yes, of course, Metallica and Megadeth are freaking huge, but it should never have been a big four. It should have been like a big eight, because Exodus, Overkill, Exodus, Overkill, freaking. Now I'm trying to think. Damn it, Razor, and Annihilator. If Annihilators. Nobody realized how long Annihilator's been around. And those are bands that freaking. They're literally freaking. They're just awesome bands. There's a lot of metal bands in Canada people don't follow, except for everybody follows Architects, and freaking so there at least there's one freaking band in Canada that people are following. But Unleash the Archers, there's all kinds of them out there. But if you haven't listened to Anthrax, and I'll pump them up all day long, but people say there's the John Bush era sucks. It doesn't. It doesn't. The song Only. If you can tell me that you can listen through the song Only, or listen to the album Stomp, the Stomp album, you're not going to freaking bang your head, and you're not going to freaking want to just freaking run through freaking walls, then something's wrong with you. And those are John Bush albums. But the latest one, the last few that they have, they changed the way they go about things. But if you get a chance to listen to freaking anything they've done in the last like 4 or 5 years, oh man, holy crap! Like I said, it's to me. Then again, I'm a fan. I'm the fanboy. But if anybody has any, there's about 20 minutes ish around, about 15 minutes before Chris goes on Hot Buttery Rolls. If anybody wants to ask any questions, Crocus, freaking please do not bring up freaking Crocus. Oh my God. Because there's a song by Crocus. Everybody's like, oh, Big Stick Goes Boom, freaking, was it Midnight Maniac? If you have one song that you listen to by Crocus, and if you've never heard it, Whiskey Samurai, I'm telling you, when you get done with this, listen to it. It's called Screaming in the Night by Crocus.
Okay.
It is literally, to me, it is the best power ballad, hands down.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
It's not, and the thing is, it's not meant to be a power ballad, because Crocus was before that whole. They started out before that whole White Snake, Steel Heart, freaking everything had to have a freaking love song on it type thing, and it's freaking awesome. Speaking of, anybody that ever wants to talk about hair metal, we can go there. I have no problem talking about that. Okay, Jacob, are you in the Chattanooga area? Because he's asking what store you were working at. Yeah, Wags. Which store is Whiskey Samurai's? See, that's what I'm wondering. Jacob, are you in the area? You just want to go by and say hi and freaking, before you can't find him anymore, or what?
Well, actually, I'll go ahead and break the news. Today was the last day, so.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that, but but I am glad that you're at least up to coming on here and listening to me talk and throw in a couple words here and there. I appreciate.
Definitely, if I have any good input, I'll put it in.
Yeah, but I don't know what kind of music you. Oh no, okay. So there's some. Okay, so what I've gathered from the people that are watching this, I'd say at least 50% of you are older like me, because of the fact that as soon as I said Screaming in the Night, the Roop, unless he's Jade Alicia, that's not. Do you know who Jade Alicia is? Okay, if you go over to Twitter and type in Jade Alicia, it's ALICIA. She is early 20s. I want to say early to mid 20s, but she is all 100% about Stevie Nicks and hair metal. She was out here in Southern California. She's back in New York right now because of the whole pandemic thing. But she was out here working working merch for concerts and so that she has a podcast that she does. But if you can go follow her on Twitter, like I said, Jade Alicia, beautiful girl, but she has got some of the best taste in freaking 80s, well, in music in general, from mid 70s through the hair metal, early grunge area. She knows every freaking, she pulled out. You don't see 20 somethings pulling out the Ace Frehley solo album from Kiss.
Yeah, no.
And then picking out what could have been the most obscure song on there. It's not Who Am I, but most, because everybody goes like New York Groove or like me. My favorite song by Kiss ever is Rip It Out by Ace Frehley on a solo album. But then again, I'm a huge Ace Frehley fan. But yeah, go check her out. But there's some older. I know there's some older people because okay, so Jacob Enriquez is saying that he's in Chattanooga. That's why. Well, he doesn't work there anymore, so he probably doesn't. But so wait, yeah. So okay, so the Roop said, "Whiskey Samurai, did you have an option to buy the business?"
I wish. I wish. I got a free bottle of Blanton's and was kind of put on my way, which I'm not going to complain. Blanton's is good, but I would have rather kept my income.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the same.
So there wasn't any hard feelings or anything. It's just, I mean, what they said is it's just business. So I just kind of have to go with that. Unfortunately, I don't like that excuse, but
yeah, business
I don't own
is business.
it. So
well, okay. So for those who don't know, I think most people do know. Last May, I was let go from a job I've been at for almost 15 years. Won't go into any details about it. Actually, it ended up being a blessing in the long run. Just because at the time I just working there I literally was going through like hardcore depression and stuff, and once I got away from there for even just a few days, it relieved a lot of pressure off me. So it was more of a blessing in disguise, and I chose to use what I had in savings and what little bit I had stowed away to take up to a year off from not turning wrenches, period. I've been doing it since I was 19 years old. I didn't want it. I just needed to get away from it because I didn't like doing it anymore. I hadn't liked doing it for probably about 6 or 7 years. I was just going through the motions. And just in the last few weeks, I've been getting antsy to go back to working on machinery. So now it's my time to go ahead and go back to a real job, go back to work while I still have a decent amount of money left in the bank that I don't have to use if I go back to work. I'm hoping in the next few weeks, by the beginning of March, I do go back to work. But outside of that, that's why I ended up doing this. That's why I ended up doing what I've been doing, and that's why I spend a lot of time doing this because it's freaking so. There's just so much involved, and it keeps my mind off of everything else in the world. So
there really is a lot involved in this. I didn't realize how much work Trevor and them actually do trying to get these lives set up and get the pins set up, and it's new to me because I'm not really good with a lot of this technology stuff. I work on simple machines. Bolt A goes into hole B,
Yeah, my thing.
Not used to making internet pages and any of that.
My thing in general is that I had all the equipment from when I was doing doing concert photography and stuff like that. The mic that I use actually, I bought a lens 70 to 200 Sigma from a guy, 70 to 200 1.8 Sigma lens, and for an RP that I bought, a Canon RP, and I was expecting to use that in concerts and stuff like that. But then all this started happening. Well, part of the package deal, because he didn't want it, was this AT2020 Audio-Technica USB mic, and it was sitting in my freaking closet because I was like, well, hey, he gave it to me basically for free. So it's been sitting there. And then I decided to jump on some people's lives, and the mic in my freaking phone was not cutting it, and the one on my computer wasn't cutting it. And I was like, so I got a lav and plugged it in, and it was working a little bit better. And I was like, wait a second, I got that mic up there. So then I had some boom arms from some other stuff that I was doing with my cousin, because he's a musician, he's a fucking drummer. So I had all this stuff, and it's been here. And I was like, screw it. I have a new laptop. I'm just going to go try to do it. I talked to Trev. I talked to Hot Buttery Rolls. I talked to a bunch of people, and they said, just go do it. But I was right about the age. I was right about the ages, though. the Roop's 51, Mike Franklin's 50, Jacob Enriquez 47. So yeah, you guys are all about my age. You guys are 80s kids, hair metal guys. But yeah, when the Roop literally, I said that about Crocus, and he decided to put up the freaking the first part of the chorus. This great. If my truthfully, if my freaking throat wasn't so freaking jacked up right now, I have sleep apnea. So last night my throat dried out really bad. I'm trying to get back from, so I sound like I'm freaking chewing on freaking cat litter.
Yeah, all I have right now is my phone. I'm using my phone as a camera right now. Hopefully, it's working okay.
Yeah, it sounds good, and you freaking looking good. It's looking good and everything else. The only thing I would say, if you're gonna do any videos on it or whatever, is to maybe bring it, because right now you're at the very bottom of the screen and your head's right, like sitting on the very bottom of the screen. Is basically getting a holder or something to position it to where you're more in the center of it when you do your videos, or if you decide to start doing lives. Because the truth is I did my first I was doing my Instagram lives initially on my phone, on my Samsung, and I was using my Samsung with some adapters to plug in the really nice mic directly into my phone, and I was using it that way with the headphones and everything else. So you can do a whole setup that works on your phone. There's a lot of people that do it, and it's a little bit easier for me going through my through my laptop, because the screen's bigger. Trying to do anything like, clicking this stuff and everything else would be really hard to do, trying to do it through on the phone though. But if you have and the thing is do you have a laptop?
Yeah, I do. I've been trying to use it to get the actual page set up and get my StreamYard ready so I can get all the, like, your little scrolly bar there at the bottom. I don't know how to do that yet. I've been trying to figure that out for like 3 days now.
Okay, so after here in a minute, let's see what time is it. Yeah, it's got about 4 minutes for How Very Rose goes on. Don't go anywhere. When I stop the stream, we'll still be able to talk, and nobody else, the stream will be over. And then I'll tell you basically what you need. It's not for anybody that's trying to do StreamYard, because I know that there's a couple people out there that might be watching this later. If you go over to the banners tab and you click to make a new banner, when you make up the new banner, there'll be so like you click it and it says create new banner. There'll be a little box that says scroll across bottom ticker. You enter what you want on the banner, click the scroll, and then add banner. And then every time that you want it to go across, like right now, I can go ahead and I just push stop showing it. And then I can put this out. Then, I'll go ahead and why not? I'll go ahead and do this. Then I'll go ahead and I can throw up my Venmo and my PayPal if anybody's still here and wants to support the channel. And just so everybody knows, Dan Shook can bite me. But yeah, so you can make it to where it either scrolls or just pops up, and you can actually do you can do tickers that like this one, like you can go back and forth between tickers, but anything that's static, as soon as you hit it, you still have the ticker going, but any banner you make that's static will just come up and the names will go off the screen.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so if you have any questions, or anybody else has any questions, I literally just learned this in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Since I learned it, I literally learned how to do this the day before my first live was when I finally got it to her. And then now, since then, all I've been doing is working on a thumbnail app that's on my phone. Reface. I've been using Reface, and then the images to put my face onto other people and onto Leonardo DiCaprio today, and then freaking The Great Gatsby, and then freaking going ahead and doing the moving it over to the thumbnail app and then making the thumbnail from there. But I've had, this has actually been fun. I'm glad somebody came on to talk to me. I didn't think so, I thought I was going to try to do this for a whole 2 hours by myself. But yeah, don't be afraid to go. Don't be afraid to go live. This is most of the stuff that I've done like tonight is completely off the top of my dome. I do have some notes. Like I knew I wanted to talk about the Jack Daniels Lemmy thing. I knew I wanted to talk about some of the ideas I had and everything else. But I'm glad that you came on. I'm glad that if anybody still is here and doesn't jump ship. Hey, 11 people still haven't jumped ship. But I appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate the fact that you stayed with me for 2 hours. Cheech, I'm going to have you on here one of these days and you know what, truthfully, I'm going to say it now, and I want to see if anybody will freaking put that out there. Next Saturday, 5:00, we're going to talk hair metal. We're going to go ahead and talk about freaking 80s hair metal. Anything you want to talk about, if there's a band that you know of that wasn't really huge that you thought should have been huge, it doesn't have to be hair metal. It can be anything, any kind of metal. I'd say through to the mid, I say mid 90s. We can talk about that, we can talk about anything. But I'm going to focus on hair metal. So anybody that's here that wants to come back and do it, hey, there you go. Anybody else that wants to come back and anybody else yeah. So anybody else that wants to come back next weekend and talk about freaking, you can all come. The link will be there. The link will be up. We can get up to 10 people on screen at one time. Well, I think me and 10 people. So if we can get 5, 6 of us, we have no problem. Let's go ahead and we'll drink some whiskey. We'll talk about some freaking metal music. And I challenge people. Somebody needs to make sure this gets to Trev. And Cheech will probably be the one to be able to do it. I challenge Trev Wilson to listen to 80s to listen to metal from the 80s. Not include Metallica or anything else he wants to listen to. But he needs to listen to some hair metal and find something he likes that he can talk about, and that he needs to be on the live stream next week so he can start getting educated about something besides freaking blast beats. But I'm glad everybody's here. I'm glad you stayed around. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drop off, and I'm gonna go head over and talk to you and go watch Hot Buttery Rolls. With Samurai, if you have anything else you want to talk to me about, I'll go ahead and drop off here now, and then we can go ahead and do that. So, as I always say, see you on the other side.
Take it easy, everybody.